Hello, my name is Timosha. It's been a few days since the release of Homer's epic, The Odyssey, in cinemas, and I haven't seen it yet, but uh, it appears there's been a mixed bag with respect to reviews because the initial reviews that I saw was that they seemed positive. They were like he knocked it out of the park, right? So he it seemed the initial reviews were positive, but more recent reviews have flayed at the director, that's Christopher Nolan, and of course we know that Lupita Nyong'o did receive plenty of blowback, and so did the director in his casting of Lupita as Helen of Troy, because Lupita is obviously black and African, and Helen of Troy is assumed to be a white woman. Um, while I was going across, coming, just searching for reviews on the movie, I came across another, you know, excoriation of Lupita Nyong'o, and this time it wasn't because she was cast as Helen of Troy, but because comments she made with respect um, to Homer, and I'm going to quote what she said. So the first critique of Lupita with respect to her comments criticizing Homer, suggesting that he was misogynistic or was from um, a professor of classics, Victor Davis Hanson, professor of classics, and he made some comments, and it caused me to do some more, investigation. One thing he said was he was surprised that Lupita, a graduate of Yale, right? She got a Master of Fine Arts from Yale, right? And that Lupita claimed she had never read the Odyssey, which I thought was odd, right? She's an actress, and of course, being a graduate of Yale, the Odyssey School of, I think she got it in drama or something, Master of Fine Art. The Odyssey would have been, required reading. She had went to a very good undergraduate program as well. Well, the trick about college though is that many people probably get reviews, summaries, and because especially if you go to a prestigious school, you might not make the time to read all the assigned, go through all the assigned readings, and so you might just read excerpts that affect your homework or whatever, you know. But Lupita is a professional, and I expect she would have read the Odyssey. The Odyssey is just, you know, just over 400 pages. I think I read Evie Rio's version. It was just over 400 pages. Especially she's a very she's a prominent professional, an Oscar winner. Obviously, um, I think that might have been tongue in cheek, or maybe if she did make that comment, she was being facetious. I mean, that's what the professor said. She said, and he spent a tremendous amount of time just criticizing her for not having read the Odyssey, and especially since she was a graduate of Yale. Um, so I researched, like I said, I looked for videos to find her comments, and I found, comments in which she does criticize Homer, right? But I never find one in which she says that she's never read the Odyssey. In fact, I found an interview she had with Trevor Noah, and she was talking about when she was reading the book, right? When she was reading it, the Odyssey. I saw another one, and she was talking about when she was reading it, what came out to her, and how she had her ideas about how she was going to reenact, the character, her character, reprise her character, of, whatever, the phrase is, how she was going to portray her character, right? So I didn't see that. So it would be unfortunate if people are telling lies against Lupita. But something that she did say was, she did indicate that Homer, um, did not. In fact, her words were something to the effect that Homer did not give enough screen time, for women, and especially considering that he didn't spend enough time with women. So I didn't know if that was supposed to be tongue in cheek, if she was being facetious, if it was supposed to be a jibe at Homer's sexuality. I don't know if she was trying to say he was gay or something, or he wasn't interested in women. Um, very little is known about Homer, right? What people know is that he was blind, and that if he did indeed write, or the Odyssey, the poem, it wasn't written down. He would have recited it orally, right? It was an oral poem. It is not entirely sure you know um, if Homer was one person, if it's a fictionalized, if it's a recreation of a historian's mind, or civilization's inventive, you know, mind. I don't know. So there are all sorts of thoughts on Homer, but very little is known about Homer. But yes, she did indicate, that's Lupita. I think she did unfairly suggest that Homer did not spend adequate time on women. She mentioned something about not reflecting women's perspective. Well, Homer spent a considerable amount of time on women in the Odyssey. If you've read the Odyssey, it is almost entirely about women. I mean, at least women are very powerful. They seem to be controlling in events. So I'd call Homer, to be fair, a proto-feminist, right? A proto-feminist, the prototype of a feminist. And we're talking about almost, going back over 2,000 years, almost 3,000 years, right? So the so that's what I want to do today, just to show how Homer did spend a considerable amount of time on women. Um, you know, apart from the figures, right, that were manipulating Odysseus, right, who's the hero, um, the other significant character, this Odysseus was pining all the while, right? At the end of the Trojan War, Odysseus is trying to find his way back home, right? And of course, he's going in a circuitous journey, on a circuitous journey, that is, um, because he's been cursed by Poseidon. He's longing for his wife, Penelope, and so 20 years he's away from Penelope. Penelope is a very significant figure because she manipulates her suitors, and Homer shows her loyalty, right? She's very loyal to her husband, and she doesn't know what's going on, but she's loyal, she's firm, and she's able to deceive the numerous suitors who are eating her husband, her out of house and home, right? I love that phrase. Um, by pretending that she's weaving this burial shroud for her father-in-law, and when she's done with it, that she will pick a suitor, right? She'll pick somebody as a new husband. But at the end of the day, every night she would unwind, the portion of the weaving she'd done throughout the entire day. And so you see the ingenuity and the loyalty, the strength of character of the females in the Odyssey is prominent. It's very pronounced. It resonates throughout the book. So Homer actually makes women very powerful. Women are very powerful. I don't know about him making women very powerful. Maybe that was the reality back then in Greek civilization. Um, I'm not going to address the issue of him not telling the story from the perspective of a woman. Homer was a man. I'm a man. I consider myself as very pro women, as a feminist, a male feminist, if there can be one. But I can never tell a story or narrate things from the perspective of a woman because I'm a man, right? I'm not going to, I'm not. I'm a man. I can only tell things from the way I see things, from the way I experience them. And so the same thing with Homer. He's a man. It's unfair to say he should uh, emasculate himself or he should erase himself, his own thinking, right, his own identity, just to tell uh, an opposite gender story, which he's not, right? But he does a tremendous amount of work in the Odyssey, showing the strength, the power of women, right, the authority. So if you've read the book, you see, apart from Penelope, like I said, you see these significant characters like Athena. So Odysseus' patron god is a woman, is Athena, right? So when we're talking about male, female, the in Greek mythology, their gods have female and male characters, right? So they're feminine or they're male. Like Zeus, the chief god, is male, but in the case of Odysseus, right, his patron deity that was supporting him, directing him, helping him was Athena. Athena was a female, and she was actually god of war and god of wisdom. So you see how Homer is really he really prioritizes women. He gives them a laudable position, and so she's there, always ready to help Homer. Apart from that, you find the variety of characters. There are other characters who help Homer, who help Odysseus at different times. There's the sea goddess Leucothea. Uh, there's a sea goddess Leucothea who helps Odysseus. Um, you know, she's very kind. There are others who want to exploit him, who hold him captive, like Calypso, who's offering him divinity. She's offering him immortality to marry her, but eventually, even though it's like she's coercing him, she lets him go and she helps him, right? She helps him build a raft and she wishes him well. She provides him everything he needs. Even Circe, right? Circe eventually gives him the secret to helps him with the secret to being able to navigate his journey back home successfully when she advises him to go to the underworld and seek the blind uh, prophet Tiresias, who gave him the advice on how to appease Poseidon and what he needed to do when he got back home. So Circe, she shows balance, and so these feminine characters are all powerful, and you can see how influential they are over women, over the fate of man, the fate of Odysseus, over the fate of his men as well. The sea monsters, the terrible monsters that destroy the men, are feminine, right? Scylla and Charybdis. Um, the whirlpool and the six-headed monster, they're feminine, and it goes on and on and on. And then if one's saying, well, that it's like females are being demonized, then you see the balance again in the princess Nausicaa, the Phaeacians, right? Nausicaa has all the noble virtuous characteristics, and she helps Odysseus. Interestingly, she advises Odysseus to go and seek help from her parents, the king and queen, but she directs Odysseus to go to the mother, right, the queen, and to kneel before the queen and grab her knees, right, which was custom, right? So you see the power of women being projected over and over again. It's like the Odyssey is really about women, and it's almost like the guy is just a sidebar. Odysseus, right? His destiny, his goal, his objective, everything is being controlled by women, right? Women are centered in the Odyssey. If you read the Odyssey, this is something that comes out to you. And they have agency, right? They have agency. He doesn't typecast them in one way. You see the maids, right? His maid servants in the palace, right? When the suitors come and they're trying to woo his, force his wife Penelope to pick a husband, the maidservants betray their mistress and they become lovers to the suitors, right? And he doesn't, he's not overly sexist in that he doesn't spare them, right? He's not, he doesn't condescendingly or patronizingly spare women. They suffer a horrible death, a gruesome death. They're hanged in the end. So women are very pivotal in the story of the Odyssey. But so that's basically what I wanted to say. I'll stop this video here and I'll continue with my discussion on the Odyssey. My name is Olu Rotimi Osha. I'll keep you posted. Thank you.